Hey, welcome back, everyone. So what does it take for someone to leave a successful tech career in San Francisco? The answer is apparently fruit brandy. Our guest today is Jennifer Solberg Katzman, the co-founder of Chicago's Rhine Hall Distillery. She's the one who saw a family hobby of distilling apple brandy and had the vision to turn it into a full-scale business. Rhine Hall doesn't make whiskey or gin. They specialize in Eau de Vie, a spirit so pure that it takes 25 pounds of fresh fruit to make one bottle. In this episode, we talk about the story of her family, what inspired this business, and what sets them apart for other spirits in the cocktail and spirit industry. From their exciting new tropical line of flavors to really hearing about the strength of a family business. I'm excited to have Jennifer on the show. And for all of you who have seen some of my recent cocktails online, they are the special ingredient to a lot of them. Without further ado, let's jump into it. Hey, welcome into the show, everyone. Today I'm here with Jenny. Now, Solberg still? Solberg?
It's a confusing question. My maiden name is Solberg, but I am now Katzman.
Oh, so Jenny Katzman from Rhine Hall, the Eau de Vie company out in Chicago. And guys, I'm so excited to bring her in and talk about her family business, everything that they've come up with, and this unique flavor profiles that they're currently experimenting with. For those who have been following me on social media, you probably saw my Ode to Spooky cocktails line for Halloween, and the cocktail that looked the most beautiful, the Chupacabra, utilized their guava spirit. So that Eau de Vie with this clean, refreshing taste of guava without making it feel overly sugary. I know this sounds like a commercial, but I'm really, really hyped about this product and finally getting Jenny and Rhine Hall on here. So how are we doing, Jenny?
Great. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. I know you've been traveling a lot and getting busy, and you shared that you guys bought a lot of fruit recently. Do you can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's our largest purchase to date, which is kind of fun. We just bought 200,000 pounds of guava, fresh guava.
That is something.
So yeah, I mean, to give you a little point of reference, I mean, when we just first started out, we were buying, closer to like 10 to 20,000 pounds of fruit at a time. One that was kind of our like fermentation capacity in the tanks that we had. But yeah, we've now are at 200,000 pounds of fruit and basically a single purchase.
Yeah. For those who are those who are unfamiliar with Eau de Vie and your business, actually, do you mind telling us a little bit about Rhine Hall? What you guys do and what Eau de Vie is for those who are unfamiliar.
Yeah, so Rhine Hall, we're based out of Chicago. We started 12 years ago now. I run the business with my dad. And we produce a fruit brandy, also known as an Eau de Vie, which is a product 100% distilled from fruit. There's nothing added to it on the front end or the back end. We believe in using, the pure fruit itself. No, juice from concentrate or anything else. We believe you get the purest expression of the fruit in the bottle with producing from fresh fruit. So we end up with a clear distillate. We bottle around 40%. And yeah, we hope when you end up with a bottle in your hands that the aromatics are, they smell like the fruit. And then when you take a sip, it's, soft and silky on your palate. Like a lot of spirits these days, a lot of people get introduced to these products through cocktails, just kind of as a stepping stone. But, we always obviously recommend, trying these straight and by themselves as well.
Yeah. For those at home who haven't tried it, I highly recommend trying them out. I keep buying as many as I can. Whenever I can get my hands on one, I do. And they're so fun to experiment with. And the fact of the matter is that they don't leave, because whenever you think about like a flavored spirit, people misinterpret. This isn't a flavored, like artificially flavored spirit. This is 100% from the fruit. So you're not going to get a lot of those like chemical, like artificial flavors and tastes that are just kind of gross. I mean, each have their place. I mean, you could sip as much Tennessee honey as you want, but this feels a lot cleaner to me. Not to take shots at anyone. But your business has been a unique one. I know that you said you run it with your father, Charlie, correct? And
yeah. I mean, he's kind of more of a silent mentor.
Awesome.
Yeah, and he actually helps out. His main business is an air manufacturing business. So that's his kind of thing. And then he's helped me, just basically help get this business up and running, and has continued to be, a sounding board for me. But yeah, like I said, it's been 12 years. So I feel like we found like a good way to work together. But he does give me, I mean, I fully operate the business.
Oh, 100%. I
Yeah.
meant more so I would be the first person to be honest and vulnerable. I don't know if I could run a business with my mom even being a silent partner, like even being a quiet or an angel partner.
Yeah.
So definitely, I was just going to ask about that dynamic, but you obviously answered it perfectly where, sounding board and all that, but you do have an extensive business background. So like, I find that so interesting that some of your history and everything, you were living in San Francisco for some time.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. We like my dad had this filter business. We kind of grew up in the summers going to the assembly line, kind of getting a feel of, what it takes, not only have the business idea, but also, the labor involved to producing manufacturing products. So we did that throughout high school. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, so big family. And, going throughout college and everything, I knew I wanted to start a business. And my dad had always recommended, you got to get in sales, that you got to be able to sell your product, sell yourself before you have a product to sell.
mhm.
And so that's what made me get to San Francisco. I was in a SaaS, like a tech sales company that was just like kind of a really hungry, you're young,
Meltwater News.
yeah, Meltwater News. This is a culture of just like quota driven, I learned a lot about business and urgency and picking up the phone and having no fear, and that I would agree that kind of gave me the building blocks that I needed to be able to, build some business acumen and kind of being able to start my own business. And it was actually also in San Francisco when, I started recognizing this craft cocktail renaissance with brands like St. George Spirits and, well, predominantly them along with some others. And I already had a background in distilling fruit from growing up. So my then boyfriend, now husband, was really supportive and was like, I had already been tasting out my friends and my now husband with a bottle of other schnapps that I brought from home, or the Eau de Vie. And
Just making it at
my
home.
I well we made this product back in Chicago from like every fall we would pick apples off the
That's
tree
awesome.
and climb the trees and like monkeys, and lay down a big tarp and shake them, and all the fruit would fall down. And we had this bike powered apple chopper, and basically like I knew how to produce a distillate. I never even thought much about it, but I was super proud about it. And myself and my siblings, I was involved probably the most in those falls because I was the fifth of 5 kids. I was kind of my dad's little sidekick, and but growing up, I ended up bringing this bottle wherever I went. And so it came with me to college, it came with me to San Francisco, and I'd always bring it out and tell my family story about producing this stuff in our backyard. And my now husband was like, "Well, Jenny, like if you want to start a business, why wouldn't you do this? Your dad would love to start another business with you." And so that kind of was the encouragement I needed I put together a business plan and went to my dad and said, "Hey, like I want to start this." And he's like, "All right, well, you got to come back to Chicago to do it." And so that was our departure from San Francisco back to Chicago to start the business.
Chicago is pretty awesome, so I wouldn't be mad at that either.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to come back, and it made sense. I mean, we were business model was to produce the product we knew how to make, which was fruit distillates. Chicago's located, on the southwest corner of Lake Michigan in the Great Lakes region. And, just northeast and northwest are big fruit growing regions of the Midwest. They get a lot of the kind of precipitation and the topography is similar to actually where my dad learned about this product in Austria, but there's all these orchards that sit right next to the lake. And I think that, the soil is a little bit rockier, probably lower acidity. And they were just a big fruit growing region. So us starting a distilling in Chicago made sense because the freight to get the fruit wasn't that far. So
That does keep also some of that product integrity, right? Like you get that freshness, not just having to ship from all over. So
exactly.
it probably gives you a much better product. It's kind of, I'm not going to lie, it's pretty inspiring to go from a make this for casual, just for friends, family, just something to make because it's enjoyable to make. And someone hits you with, like your husband, but I'm sure other people also told you, this is good enough to sell. And
yeah.
this process you refined it, you figured out how to do it on your own with your family, let alone this. How can this translate to mass production?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a fun, like those startup days are like some I'll never forget. And yeah, it's, I believed in the business, the product. So the rest was kind of like just part of the process, but it wasn't like I was trying to do anything like that someone hasn't done before. It was more just that we believed in the product. And if we made it well, we believed that it would sell.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So just getting the other pieces of the puzzle and, obviously all the red tape involved in starting a distillery. But once you get through that, then, then it's a journey after that.
It's always the less fun part is the paperwork, red tape, getting permits, talking to people. Yeah. So we'll not focus on that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no.
In that market, and I think you hit on a really cool, interesting point. Like we see cocktail evolutions change through times, and we recently had a guest. He is a tiki influencer. He's traveled the world. He's seen, but we were talking a lot about cocktail culture and spirits industry, where you see the shift. Like, there was a time when whiskey was seen as like my grandfather's product and stuff like that. So things just kind of change and evolve. At the time that you came in, a spirit a lot of Americans aren't really familiar with when you think of Eau de Vie or water of life, whatever. How was that? Was that like a terrifying risk? How did you like introduce that to like a market that wasn't really familiar with it?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I went in a little naive on the market intelligence side, like knowing, this is how many distilleries there are that are producing Eau de Vie. But I think that helped me in some ways. I mean, because I would start going to all these networking events in Chicago, and I remember this one guy who had started a liqueur brand based off of, I think it was like a grenadine knockoff. And like he looked at me and was just like, "Are you crazy? Like, why are you doing this?" And I was like, "Well, I'm just gonna, like we make a really good product, and we already know these people that want to buy it, so I think we're good." So I think a little bit of that like naiveness helped getting started, but yeah, in general, like the product category itself and the unawareness around it in the US has definitely been a challenge ever since we opened our doors. And I think our idea was, having that tasting room in Chicago to start the business was a good way for people to come in as like a brick and mortar, be able to like, get a flight, be able to taste it, learn about it. But but then, outside of our own home market, it was really leaning in on, these very talented bartenders that were super dedicated to well-made products and people who believed in, not only like the way the product's made, but also like what it could offer in a cocktail, how it could offer their bar or restaurant, like a different, advantage, I guess you could say. It wasn't just like a way to cheat the system. They wanted to put in quality ingredients to their cocktails and then be able to, see that as a differentiator for them. So, but I would look to these people as, the people to convey and explain what an eau de vie is to their consumers. So getting involved in that layer was really important for us. But yeah, you can tell, like, when you Google online, like, there's so few of us producing these eau de vies, and it's for a reason. They're we're dealing with fruit, which is perishable. There's high harvest seasons, which you have to have the capacity to be able to produce at that like very small window of time because the fruit can't go bad. And then, it's expensive. Like the cost of the fruit is exponentially higher than anything that you would need for a starch or grain type of, product, whether it's a vodka, gin, or whiskey. They're also generally shelf stable. Like you could buy a truckload of grain and have it sit for a bit. Like we need to chop it up and ferment it within 2 days before we could risk any decay or, bacteria forming. So like I know why it's not a common category. And I think my mindset has never been like, well, yeah, let's be as popular as vodka or gin. Like the price point in itself is prohibitive in that way. But I do, I'm definitely for advocating for the product category, getting more and more people introduced to it, understanding what it is, and then hopefully just to continue to build the product category.
I do love that you said the bit of being naive helped because you weren't afraid because you didn't know. Like you're like,
exactly. Yeah, I can't give myself too much credit.
All the credit. Hey, it worked. Like
yeah.
It's like I think what you said, it reminded me of where some people won't read their own movie reviews. They won't do like people are in any kind of heightened limelight, whatever. They won't read reviews of the movies. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. People like it or whatever. Kind of because you don't want to be impacted. You don't want your mind going anywhere else other than what you're producing. So, because honestly, the product speaks for itself. Even though it's far and few between that I've seen like Eau de Vie on a menu. You mentioned bartenders. Death & Co. was one of the first ones that I saw highlighting something online about your product specifically. I won't even lie. That's why I was like, what? I was already looking for something that tasted tropical and fun and different. And when Death & Co. did that, I went and ordered your bottle. Then I ordered the bottle to make that cocktail at home for my fiance because she's a big mezcal fan. I forget the name of the drink specifically, but then I brought it to bartenders and they all like, I already have one. I have a mango one. Oh, I already have. And they've been hyped about it where they're like, yeah, I've added it to the menu, but they didn't name it by name. They just put Eau de Vie. So I had no idea what I was looking at.
Cool. So yeah, that's great to hear. And that in itself, like the organic growth is what I would say I feel the most proud about, people just recommending or referring it based off of their own like interest in the product versus something, the reps are trying to sell because they can get, an extra case on 5, so we can never play the pay to play model, but in some way, that's
good
benefit. For the loyalty, the product loyalty that is there for that.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
I promise you, if you were available in my local ABC, I'll probably have like 2 of every bottle at all times.
Someday.
Right? Fingers crossed, I'm hoping. Yeah. With growth, you've also done some collaborative efforts, right? Like I think you've worked, I don't know if it was with Rhine Hall, but you also worked at Goose Island at some point? Or was it with a different spirit?
We've had some really fun collaborations over the years. I mean, to speak on the Goose Island one, they're within a block or 2 of where we are on Fulton Street in the city. So
I did not know that.
That was an easy collab. Yeah. So we've done, now think it's been a while, but we had about 4 consecutive years of producing a beer schnapps from their Bourbon County Stout and then barrel aging it back in those barrels and then offering it on, I forget the name of the day. It's bad of me not to remember this, but Binny's, one of the biggest retailers here in Chicago, would then sell it in conjunction with the Bourbon County Stout getting released that year. So it was kind of a cool way that like as a local collaboration to have 2 different expressions of the beer and then to try the distillate side by side. So yeah, that was a cool one. Yeah, we've had a lot of collaborations with Aviary. They've been really strong partners of ours from producing, a strawberry Eau de Vie.
Strawberry Eau de Vie out there? I did not know that.
Yeah, we don't have any more of it. It's been long gone, unfortunately, but that was a really cool one. We made a coffee liqueur with them originally, And I mean, like the apricot. I mean, there's some things that we had like a limited runs of, and we kind of worked closely with them. Kimpton Properties, Mike Ryan out of Chicago, and Jess Lambert, we made a really cool Fernet with. And so that was kind of, a fun experiment. So yeah, it's always that was a really fun time when I had the bandwidth and kind of the creative juices to have access to these really cool bartenders that were trying to do something different.
Understood. Yeah. I mean, with success and all this moving pieces and all that, it's kind of,
Yeah.
Was there ever kind of a collaborative effort, anything that you wish you could do or hope to do one day? Like maybe, I don't know, finishing whiskey in one of your Eau de Vie barrels or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our barrels are sold to other distilleries or breweries looking for, a fruit aged barrel just because they can't find it anywhere else. So yeah, I have a decent amount of, I can't remember all the names, but they normally buy a decent amount of barrels at once of our used barrels to be able to give their, to rest it or pass it through to get some of that fruity flavor. But for me, yeah, I would say, I think probably the biggest thing that I would like to achieve someday is, I mean, we started producing, as we kind of started our call, like a lot of how we started was based off of the fruit we had access to. That was within a 2-hour radius of the distillery for the travel time of this fresh fruit. So when our tropical line really started taking off and we would actually ship the mango from Mexico to Chicago, it didn't make sense to keep doing that, especially when COVID hit. It didn't make sense for us to continue to pay for the freight for the mango to then get all the way to Chicago. So we started producing it in Mexico. But I hope to have a similar model of producing other fruits in other countries with a partner distillery that is a fruit that's very like common and popular for their culture and like a fruit that they would use in their daily meals and things like that, to kind of see what the eau de vie expression would be like.
I think, yeah, you've done a great job of really bringing that forward, and that does open up for a lot of creativity and fun. You hinted at it, and we talked about it a little bit with now the future of your brand, because eau de vie, you talk very historically like Applejack or just apple and pears and plums. I think there's even one that has a pear grown inside of a glass bottle that people might have been familiar with and wondered what that was about. Now, shifting over to tropical, what was the inspiration of wanting to do that outside of like, was it, hey, wanting to have more creative fun with it? Or, and I know that you said you wanted to give people kind of an expression close to what they're used to, but what for you was there something exciting for you about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was just like early days of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what stuck.
Yeah.
And like we just had this opportunity to produce a mango distillate, and it like was an instant success. And we were like, wow.
It was an aha moment. It was like this worked.
Yeah, this is easy. Like not easy, but it like with our product, it's not always an easy sell because people are like, well, the price point's higher. Like, I love it. It just, is a little bit da da da. And mango was like our first one where buyers were like, all right, yeah, I can figure out how to do this. We're like, okay, like, so it took us, the sales cycle was pretty clear that we were doing something right with that. So that was kind of our first product that we like then started building on that, and we had some opportunities to produce a banana eau de vie, which I hope to make in the near term future.
I want to know when that comes.
Yeah, it was very cool. Probably my favorite, but more consistently like the pineapple and now the guava.
That's awesome. I think,
yeah,
especially we talked obviously offline where like I'm in Florida. There's a lot of places that are, hey, I'm in summer all year long. I want something that's refreshing at all times. And there's really good opportunity out in places like this, especially when you think about tiki culture, just cocktail culture in general, trying to do something new and unique. And one of the things that a lot of people don't always think about when you're making a cocktail is aesthetics. As a clear liquid, I don't lose any integrity if I'm hoping to make something look a certain way. It is not something you have to take into consideration. I was like, hey, I want to have a bright, deep red. I could still have it and get all the flavors without having to compromise that.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I like, you guys are the experts at the cocktails, so it's cool when you guys kind of share like the reasoning behind like the value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely a lot of, because I think there has been one of the cocktail trends that was like everyone does like clarified milk punch, or everyone wants to make everything look very, you can't tell what's in the glass. I don't know if there's like a mystery game and fun with it, but it just became one of those trends. Or if you're trying to make something that's very aesthetically like eye-catching, it's hard to balance a bunch of flavors and colors and get the aesthetic you want at all times. There's sometimes I've like tossed a cocktail concept, not an expert, but like cocktail concept because I'm like, it didn't look nice. It tasted delicious, but it looked awful. So I would either have to like use a different glass or do something else. But I'm like, it just looked gross. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, the presentation of it. Yeah, I mean, you guys are all, I can't, like, how you work with flavors is very cool.
Oh, it's a lot of nerding and a lot of trial and error. There are times that on paper, flavors make a lot of sense. And then when you try it, you're like, this is one of the worst things I've ever tried in my life. Like this,
well,
this is
it happens to all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's interesting. So you're not, have you gone to some of these places and tried some of those cocktails? Has there been anyone that like stood out and that you're like, oh, I understand? Or was there one that you were like,
Yeah, no, I mean, of course, we really, we truly believe in, having that brand to buyer relationship when we get the opportunity. And like, for example, when we first launched New York and California, we used this like unconventional way of distribution called LibDib, Liberation Distribution. And it was a way to basically like not find a distribution partner, but to be able to sell bottles direct to your buyers. Sometimes it has to pass through a warehouse, but sometimes it's not. But basically I could go to LA, talk to Death & Co. there and say, like, ask them for the order, what they want. And then I would be able to input it, or I put it together and he approves it. And then basically that case would come to him, all generated off of me being out in the market and selling our products. So I built our mostly LA, but SF and then New York market based off of that distribution model, which I think helped kind of maintain that, again, that brand loyalty. I was the one going in to see all of our customers, Maison Premier in Brooklyn. I mean, he's been one of our top supporters for almost a decade now. So it's really cool, like how that, like, I get to see firsthand what they're working on and why. I don't tell them to do anything. I just give them the spirit and hope that it works out for them. So yeah, I think I definitely can see, I've been able to see like what's worked and what hasn't worked. And I try and share that as much as I can to give people like somewhere, a jumping off point. But you guys, like I said, are so creative. Like sometimes you just need to hear a little gist of what's worked for someone else to then make it your own. And I think that's kind of how it's organically grown.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you are like boots on the ground and that hardworking like family mentality of like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to build those relationships. And we talked about, I don't know if it was off air, but that genuine connection to people, I think is fantastic. It sets you apart from a lot of these companies. I'll use the example of Lance Winters. You mentioned him earlier from St. George Distillery. I had heard of some of his products, but we have this bar, the Courtesy in Winter Park. And he came to feature a bottle that came out in a couple of his spirits. He had a couple of his gins, all that. I was able to have an interview of him. But once I built that, like we built that connection, everyone who was trying this product, you would find out so quickly. People were like, oh, I love their gin. Oh, I love this. And people just kept buying and buying based off of that communication and that touch base with him. So it was dope to see that. And that just one-on-one human aspect of it where people are engaged in you and invested in you as opposed to like some giant conglomerate in the background of people who don't care.
Yeah.
definitely speaks volumes to your model.
Yeah, well, thanks. I mean, especially like gives some kudos to Lance, but like, the bigger you get, the harder that becomes. And so I feel like those early days were like it was made such a big influence and impact, but it becomes harder and harder to do. And I mean, like, and it's interesting, like, people they like you, they believe in the brand, they have that connection. But it's like, then when you remove yourself, like, is this still going to live on without you? And so that's kind of been like, another piece of the puzzle over the last 12 years of like, but I started the business when I was 24.
24. That is
Yeah.
impressive. Okay.
Yeah, pretty wild. And then 6 years later, I started having kids, and I've now had 4 kids.
They're future
And,
employees right there.
so, like, yeah, when life just happens, and when you can't be there, you have to start relying on your people, and really like just relying on the juice and like the product. And so, yeah, it's been like a different exercise for me to like feel like I'm still connected when I can't be there all the time. And so that's, another part of the business that's kind of, it's, well, now that I'm done having kids, I'm excited about getting back out there again and making those connections again.
Just saying, one of them could be a future employee or a rep or
yeah.
a brand rep.
Yeah, I've definitely put a few to work.
Like, here, hold this guava. Yeah, you look good.
Yeah,
That's gotta work. You're coming with me. That's awesome. And it's true though. Like, what is it? Victim of your own success. Like, things are going so well. There's so many things going on, and it's beautiful to have your family and continue to grow in your personal life. I'll say, I'm happy to hear that you weren't so busy making a living that you forgot to live. Because there are a lot of people who will sacrifice like their life, and they're like, oh my God, I have done nothing but just work. So you were still working, which must have been exhausting. 4 kids sounds exhausting now, just hearing about it throughout that. And I'm sure, other things and other aspects of life, that still being able to have that footprint and take time to make sure that your product's still doing very well, expanding, growing. And yeah, kudos to you. If you haven't given yourself applause and your own flowers,
thanks. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't know you had 4 children. That's exhausting, right? Talking to you. The fact that you're conscious right now, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, especially after Halloween.
Yeah. Halloween must have been really interesting.
Yeah.
I know that we kind of have some to wrap up soon, but with the future and everything coming up, like what do you have on the horizon? Something that you're excited about and wanted to work on? Something that heck you haven't even fully thought out of, or something you want to share with people?
Yeah, I mean, we're, the market has kind of been, all over the place ever since COVID. So I think it's just kind of, I feel like, and then like getting like that next wave of bartenders that are truly are dedicated, like getting to know that new generation people to kind of teach and get to know, like connect with, like on why, these types of products are produced. And, I like, that's kind of my like more business answer, I guess. But on like the fun side, I think just the tropical lines are continuing to be a really fun and core of the business. So I think there'll be some expansion there as time goes on, whether that's just a few other tropical fruits that we add to our line. But for now, it's, continuing to share what we have and with good people in new markets. I mean, we don't have a strong presence in Florida yet. So, I mean, that would be a fun, goal for 2026, since LA and California and New York and Illinois are our other major markets. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think, some, trips down to Miami or
if you're ever in Orlando,
wherever you are.
Winter Park, you let me know. I'm in Florida, so Orlando. Yeah. That's awesome. I think that there's so much coming up, right? With other fruits, there's a lot of fun to be had. I mean, we could do this all day, but
yeah. Well, I mean, and we got to be mindful too. I mean, like I said, at the very beginning. We started with 18 different products. It becomes unsustainable, and we've learned our lesson there, but also even just like the sheer bandwidth of, our representing distributor teams,
Mhm.
the basic, very basic, like they can only have, 4 to 5 bottles in a bag. I can't offer 18 different SKUs. So, really like honing in on those specific fruits and kind of like making very thoughtful decisions moving forward, and maybe having limited releases, but having it kind of structured a little differently.
Yeah, when you talked about the apricot, the banana, all that, and make those like hyped feature things, I think that would be so cool to do, especially when you have so many distilleries and all these brand partners around you too. So opportunities are limitless, man.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah. Well, I know we gotta go. You have limited time. Busy, busy woman. Is there where can people find you? Anything you want to share with everyone? And where can people buy your product? I know I'm going to put it all in the show notes for those at home, but
Yeah, I think I would say the Drink Fellows, I think, is our national like platform for selling our tropical line the easiest. Otherwise, going through, if you're in California, New York, or Illinois, then I would say the major retailers like K&L in California, Benny's here in Chicago, and there's I guess a bunch of mid-level ones in New York. So yeah, just kind of keep an eye out. Follow us on Instagram. We like to, share, people working with our product, different ways of working with the product, but also really championing, those people, those bartenders that are, taking a risk with something different. So yeah, thanks so much for giving it a shot, and thanks for having me today.
of course, guys, if you like what we're doing, please make sure that you give her a like, follow, and support the product. I promise you that I won't put my name on very many items. I think their product is one of the best things that I've had in my house. It opens up so many options, so many great ideas, and definitely delicious. Just straight up, like there's no way around it. There's no refined way of saying how delicious every single bottle I have here is. My fiance loves it. You use it in daiquiris, mezcal cocktails, whiskey cocktails. It's just great. Make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, and keep an eye out for some of the featured cocktails that we'll be making. We'll probably be using a lot of the Eau de Vie from Rhine Hall. And if you are enjoying those, give me an idea and I will continue to work on those. But as always, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and see you next week. Bye. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdy Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had. From flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business, I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.